Hello boys and girls, we're going to make a thumb owl, a little bit like this one, using air dry clay. And you'll see he's got different textures on him, and in the underside it starts with a pinch pot. And so I'm going to teach you how to do the pinch pot and then shape his head, eyes, chest and wings. First, we're going to start with a ball of clay or a chunk of clay that I'll give you, and then you're going to roll it into a ball using your hands, pressing and rolling. If you roll it on the table, you'll find it turns into more like a spinning top kind of shape like this. So in your hands is better. You're more likely to get a round shape. And then if you get any cracks, you'll use some water in your water cup to smooth them out. And the water helps it get quite slippery and slimy, but if you use too much water, it'll get too slimy. So we don't want too much water, just a little bit every now and then. Once you've made your ball, we're then going to form the pinch pot. So keeping it in your non-dominant hand, you're then going to use your right hand or your dominant hand to press in and pinch and turn. So holding it in your left hand or your non-dominant hand, you're going to turn it and give it a little pinch with your thumb and your alligator fingers on the outside. Pinching and turning, and still keeping it fairly thick, so we're just going to gradually open up to make our pinch pot. You'll see some cracks might appear. When you get a few little cracks, I've just got a little drip on the tip of my finger to smooth those out. When it gets to about this size, we're not going to make a really big or thin pot. We want it fairly thick, maybe the thickness of your finger. We're going to turn it upside down and then give it a little bit of a squeeze here to sort of form the shape of the owl's head. Now, owls don't have much of, well, they've got an amazing neck that can rotate 360 degrees, but it's not quite as separate as our head might be with a long neck. So we don't want any giraffes here. We're making it an owl. So I've got a bit of a raised area there that will be his head. The next step is to make here some ears. Owls have very interesting little ears, so we need to pinch a good amount. I've got almost half of his head kind of there, and squeezing and shaping into a little bit of a point, like so. It's not too thin. If it's too thin, it will break later. So I'll show you that again. I'm going to pinch a fairly large amount of clay and squish, mold, shape the clay into a triangle ear shape. And I've got some creases that have occurred there, so I'm going to smooth them out. And then I have some ears, might try and make them a bit more symmetrical. They don't need to be very big. We're not talking cat ears or dog ears here, just some owl little ears. And then we also need to do that same technique to make a beak. So I'm going to smush a little bit to make it a bit of a beak shape. You could also use your pencils. I'm going to use the tip of a pencil to kind of make it a bit more pointy. See how I'm using the tip of the pencil? I might clean off some of that clay. Use the tip of the pencil to sort of just get into those little areas that my thumb and fingers can't quite reach. And you could also use your pencil to do a little indent in his ears if you would like. I've got some cracks appearing, so I'm going to use my tiny bit of water to smooth them out. And then next we're going to make some eyes. Now we're going to use probably a marker that has a circle shape in it to press in, make one eye. I'm sort of turning it so it smooths over rather than just pressing in really hard. There we go, got two eye shapes. and then we want his pupil. So I'm going to use the tip of my pencil again to just make a little circle hole. Oh, that's good, I like him. And then we've got his beak, his ears, his eyes, and now we're going to make the shape of the wings. So the wing shape will be sort of coming down like almost a triangle shape. So down the side, under his ears, coming down on one side. I like to wet my pencil just a little bit to help it smooth those lines. And you'll see the clay comes up, so I like to smooth that over a little bit. We're not cutting into the clay, just making a line for the wings. And then rotating it, making it symmetrical, matching on the other side. So now I've got his chest shape, I've got the wing shape, I've got the form of the ears and the beak, and now I'm going to do the patterns on the chest and the wings. Now I did it one way this time, but I'm going to try it the other way. I'm just going to swap my textures around this time. Sometimes you can use the point of this clay tool, or we can also use a paddle pop stick to make some interesting texture. So I'm going to hold my thumb owl in this direction and then work my way up his chest, pressing, and you'll see I've got my thumb in there to support it so it's not collapsing. I'm going to go across to make a little semicircle, and then I'm going to alternating like we did with our weaving, so it gives a really interesting pattern. Pressing in fairly firmly but supporting it with my thumb on the inside here. I'm working slowly and carefully to keep my pattern nice and even and not just doing it randomly. I want a really nice texture. Oh, that's so good. Love that. And then I'm going to maybe use the point of this tool, another clay smoothing tool, which we may or may not have. You could have a go at using a pencil to draw the patterns. And I'm going to do the texture on the side. What am I going to do? I think I'm going to use this one because I like the triangle shape as a bit of a contrast. And pressing in at an angle to give a triangle pattern. Give him the texture of his wings. And I'm being gentle, very, very gentle with my left hand here so I don't destroy that pattern underneath. There we go. And I'll just do one final check to see if there's anything else I want to fix up. And then, finally, we must always, always, always remember to put a name on our work. Now, this is a bit tricky to put the name on here, so I'm going to do that for you. What you're going to do is you're going to get a piece of paper and write your name and class. Always writing your class because there will be lots of these thumb owls. Writing your name and class I am timetable C, and then putting your owl on top, ready to dry. This will take at least a day or two to dry, so they will be dry for you ready for next week. So put that with your class, ready to dry.